Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. It's another non-victory Sunday. It is the Bet Online Salute to Troy podcast and the USC Trojans covered. Jamal, they say good teams win, great teams cover. So does that make the Trojans? Do that make the Trojans a great team? The Trojans covered. Actually, I am surprised because I expected a lot more points, and I expected a curb stump. To be honest with you, like I know we gotta be optimistic for the show, but I expected just a lashing, and we didn't get that. We saw glimpses of it. We actually saw glimpses of like, oh boy, here it comes. But then at times, like SC, they held stout. They did good. I know you hate saying this.
Maybe they fought.
They fought. Yeah, they fought. They fought on like Trojans. I know you hate saying this, but I mean it's a good measuring stick for the future to see where they need to become better. And we saw that they need to become better in the secondary. They need to get way faster because Oregon was a track team out there last night. And they just need to get tough up front. And we got Kenny with us today, my brother. He played at Oregon. And he sent me a text, and I replied to it this morning. He said, I don't want to hear anything about Bear Alexander anymore. And I don't think Bear Alexander is a 0 tech. I think Bear Alexander is a 3. You put Bear Alexander at 3, the game changes, right? And he also gets triple team, but he doesn't know how to get out of it. I am going to be the optimistic one, and I'm going to say something that might enrage our friend Jamal. But I am proud the way the Trojans played. I know it wasn't a win, but they didn't roll over and die. They fought. They tried to hang with a team that's probably a college football playoff team. If you want to know what a college football playoff team is in the Pac-12, Oregon is better than Washington. I don't think anybody disagrees with that. They hung with them. They fought the best they could with the talent that they had and the depth that they had. I think they did a good job. They did not roll over and die. They wanted to prove something. It's just embarrassing that that's where we are with recruiting, which is another story for another day, right? But I am okay with the performance that was put on the field with what we had. How do you feel about that, Jamal? And don't forget to send your questions in. We'll answer your questions.
No, Fred, I agree with you. I don't. I'm totally aligned with you in terms of how they fought. I was really proud of how they fought in the second half, in particular. You know, there were a couple of moments there where it felt like, you know, they were losing a handle on the train at 22-7 at the end of the first half. You sort of felt like, you know, this thing could get out of hand pretty quickly. There was a third down. Caleb did a magnificent job in terms of converting. Obviously, there was some that deep play to Tahj Washington to get that drive going. And then again, Oregon comes out, started the second half, really physical, 7-minute drive, 29-14. SC kind of finds a way to get a stop. I mean, even the announcers were kind of making fun that SC made history with the stop. And then it was sort of 36-14. You felt like, oh boy, this thing could maybe even get to 50-14 if this thing doesn't corral. And then I thought SC did a phenomenal job the last two drives. I mean, Caleb competed till the very end. I thought Brenden Rice competed really well. I know we were having fun earlier in the game about kind of Brenden Rice and his ability to get separation. But I think that he competed really well in the second half, particularly in that fourth quarter with those one-on-one battles. Those were difficult ones. And you know, overall, they finished that second drive as well, and at least put the game in Oregon's hands and needing to kind of run out the clock. I thought it was a very questionable 2-point conversion decision there, Fred, at 36-27. Why not kick the one and make it a one-possession game when you know defensively you're so compromised to only need one more stop? So we can kind of get in tactically there. But I thought they competed as hard as they possibly could. And Caleb really left it all out on the field. And, you know, that's all you could ask for. You knew this was a game where they were deficient in terms of talent. This felt very different than the Washington game. Washington was kind of back and forth. There were moments you felt like SC could even pull away in that Washington game. I never got the feeling SC could win this game. I thought Oregon was a little sloppy with their 13 penalties. We probably got a B- game out of Oregon, but take nothing away from USC's effort, and hopefully they bring that effort now one more week to close out the season now that the Pac-12 is officially out of reach, and just kind of finish this season the right way. So I agree with you, Fred. I thought it was a valiant effort.
And I can't wait for this week because I'll be in the LAFB lounge hanging out with my
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Very excited to have Coach.
I will say this, and I'll even let Kenny answer this one. So the second drive when they scored the touchdown, and Kenny, you asked this question on the prep show. You said, why doesn't Lincoln Riley do that? The second drive took 5 minutes and 33 seconds, right? And they ran the ball very well. They actually did. I give credit to Lincoln Riley on this. He found that there's an edge weakness on Oregon's defense, right? So and like you told me in the text, he's like, I don't know if they're supposed to spill it or force it back. Like it looked like he tried to wrong arm it, but there's nobody spilled to. Do you think, and this is just like, do you think that SC put it on tape for everybody else to find that Oregon has a weakness on their edge of their defense? Because Marshawn Lloyd was been in the corner last night.
Not really. They only had 73 rushing yards. They had a couple plays where they got loose, but I think that was just a bad defensive call. They just had a bad defense there where on that play that you're talking about. But like we said, SC was taking the play clock down to 5 seconds every time. We talked about it the other day. Why don't they waste time so they can keep the defense off the field? And they did that. They did that the whole game. They were coming down to 5 seconds before they snapped the ball. So I think Lincoln Riley listened to us.
There are rare occurrences where Lincoln actually listens to us. We say things and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, like he actually listens to us. Like we legit said that. Like, so Ryan, what was your feeling about last night? It seemed like you were busy yesterday. What was your feeling about last night's game?
Yeah, no, I was in tune to the whole thing. So, no, I think like you and Jamal said, expectations were low. It always makes it easier when your expectations are low and go into it. And the effort absolutely was there. I think that's a key when you look at, I mean, we can get into other coaching stuff, but one huge key with coaching is, how the players are performing and the effort and, the heart and the fight. And obviously that was there on both sides of the ball the whole game. There's just, I think the positive for me is Coach Riley, USC football program, the players, new recruits, like you said, Al, at the very beginning, like this is the measuring stick now. Like you see, got to get better in the trenches. Like it was just bully ball in those trenches, and SC was just totally outmanned. The intensity. I mean, Oregon. This felt like Oregon thought this was the national championship. I mean, Dan Lanning going crazy on the sidelines after a turnover or all this, and it's just that's the intensity that they brought, whether you like it or not. That's kind of what you want to see from games like these from the SC Trojans. So, a lot of good fight, some fun plays out there. It felt like, as Jamal said, I never felt like they were going to win the game, but I also felt like there was always an opportunity for them to make a play, just because that's what we've seen from this SC team, and especially when you have Caleb Williams and did some good things. I thought you mentioned the game plan. I thought overall the game plan on offense was sound. Having that less hurried, play the clock more, giving what the defense did give them, which wasn't a whole lot, but they, threw the ball 35 times, ran the ball 25 times. So fairly even in that. And obviously down late, you had to throw it a lot more. So that's where it pulled away a little bit. So yeah, I mean, I went into it, no expectations. They covered 9-point loss. And, I think this is a good building block as if you can have one as a loss to kind of move forward.
So I'll go ahead and address the elephant in the room, because that's the first text that I woke up to. And it was addressed to me from the madman. So Lincoln Riley decided to go for 2, right? And if he would have went for 2, the score would have been 29-36, which would have made it an 8-point game.
7 points.
So they had to go for 2 at one point.
Yeah. That's what I wanted to get to. So it was aggressive, right? So like you had to make the decision, right, Jamal? Like, do I want to be down by 7 and tie the game, or do I want to be down by 8 and go for 2 to win the game, right? And so I'm not upset with the decision. I probably would have went for 2 because I would have wanted the touchdown to tie. You know what I mean?
But Fred, it was the 2 would have been the tie as well, right? So it was 36-27, and with 3:44 to go, if you kick the field goal, you kick the extra point, it's 36-28. It's a one possession game, right? So
Jamal,
all you need is one stop.
The
So-
percentages,
You know
though.
they're not going to get the ball back. They didn't get the ball back. That's what you got to think about that defense.
But you're not going to get the ball back anyway, right, Kenny? So you're basically saying that, oh, I'm not going to get the ball back 2 more times versus I'm not going to get the ball back 1 more time, right? So it just mathematically doesn't make any sense. And I know the analytics in that situation say to go for 2 because you want to know what you're chasing. You never want to put the game in the hands of a 2-point conversion at the end when you have to have it. Like,
Right. That's what I was getting at. That's what I was
you know,
getting
I
at.
get the math behind it. It's still not correct. You know, I mean, it's when you're a defense that's as compromised as this defense is, the opportunity to make it a 1 possession game, especially the way Oregon was playing. Look, Oregon had, like we talked about, 13 penalties. There was some sloppiness in terms of the snap. I mean, they were really loose with the ball in that second half. Make it a 1 possession game. Something crazy could happen. They have a holding that pushes them behind schedule. You find a way to sort of manufacture a stop. At the end of the day, even with Oregon kind of running out that clock, they still took it to a 4th and 6, but you didn't feel any sort of tension in the game because it was already a 2-possession ball game. So Penn State did the same thing against Michigan, down 24-9, and they went for 2. I don't understand what this trend is in college football where they're just blindly looking at the analytics and not taking number of possessions behind into the game. This is what happens when you have non-math majors trying to apply math to their jobs. This is when kind of disaster happens and when AI will take over the world as a result of this faulty decision making. But the reality is I can't understand why you don't want to make it a 1 possession game instead of still a 2 possession game, because you're asking your defense to either make 2 more stops or you're asking your special teams, of which you don't have a special teams coach, to convert 2 consecutive onside kicks, both of which probabilistically are so much lower than if you were 1 possession behind. So I understand kind of the logic, but it's not right logic.
Yeah, so you guys are quiet today. Our fans are quiet today.
I think they're out of gas.
So this is what we have right here so far. Oregon's defense can also see the play clock. They knew the ball snap would be at 3 to 5 seconds. That's not smart.
They got 2 offsides.
Who did? Oregon's defense?
Yeah, they jumped offsides twice.
Yeah, so, but to that comment, Paul Vaughn, like, we know they could see it, but there's nothing they could do about it, right? If you know I'm running the clock down and I'm still getting first downs, there's nothing you could do about it. So that's what makes it worse. Like, it's absolutely nothing you could do about it. If I'm running the play clock down to 1 second to snapping the ball and I'm converting and moving down the field, there's nothing you can do about it. That drive legit took 5 minutes. There's not much you can do about it. I need to go look at the other drives too, like, and see how long they took. Like, it's actually a theory that's happening for a very long time. And it's actually a theory you're going to actually see in about an hour here that they do in the NFL. The average NFL drive is about 6 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things where it's
time
really,
of possession was like dead even for both teams. I think it was like 29-30 for SC, 30-12 for Oregon. So
that's because Oregon scored in 2 plays. 160 yards.
Yeah. I will say this.
Perfect start.
Time of possession for a game like this. Time of possession for a game like this matters, right? Time of possession, if I'm playing Army, Navy, or anything like that, I'm going to lose the TOP battle every single time, right? Now, I will say this. As my colleague says, he mentioned this a long time ago. I want to see time. What did you want to see, Jamal? It was actually really good, and we didn't look it up. You wanted to see, like, time of possession per score or something like that. You didn't want to see it for the whole game, but you wanted to see it, like, per score or something like that, right?
Yeah. I mean, I kind of wanted to see a time of possession sort of per scoring drive and as a way of kind of mitigating the momentum. You know, the start of this game, Fred, I know you'll remember this. The 05 USC Arkansas game. You remember that one at the Collie? You remember that one at the end of the first quarter? That was the craziest line I'd ever seen in my life. That was USC was up 28-7 at the end of the first quarter. time of possession was 13:32 for Arkansas in the first quarter and 1:28 for USC. USC ran 6 plays, 4 went to the house. Okay, so when you're in a situation like that where you're so exposed defensively, you have to try and kind of establish the time of possession per scoring drive. And I thought that they abandoned the run a little too quickly. I thought there were some nice things early on that first drive. And then after that first drive, I think, again, we talk about this concept of Lincoln getting a little spooked. I think Lincoln got spooked after that second bust touchdown when it was 14-7. And then he was like, oh boy, now it's got to be a sandlot game. I got to have Caleb running around. We got to throw every play. And yet again, Marshawn Lloyd only had 9 carries. Austin Jones had 9 or 10 carries, but there was such an opportunity there to kind of be a little bit more mindful of tempo that I think that was sort of a missed opportunity to kind of keep the game corralled a little bit because the midway through the first quarter, that first quarter was starting to remind me of the old Arkansas USC score there. And I think, Fred, the one other thing I'll mention, you brought up an excellent point yesterday or 2 days ago on the preview show when I wasn't there, is how the air raid is about reading numbers at the line of scrimmage, and Dan Lanning does an excellent job of disguising his pressure, which causes a lot of confusion, and that played out to the T. I mean, when you saw the number of timeouts USC had to burn both in the first half as well as in the second half because of confusion, because they didn't really know what they wanted to run, that also I think played into not kind of just traditionally turning around and handing the ball off because they weren't sure where the pressure was coming from. So I think that they were sort of on their heels offensively most of that night just because they didn't know where pressure was coming, where the deficiencies were, and it sort of resorted to this game where Caleb just had to be Caleb and improvise as only he can.
Yeah, so I will tell you this because you mentioned the rushes. So Marshawn Lloyd had 9 carries for 37 yards. Austin Jones had 7 for 26. They averaged 4.1 and 3.7 yards. Zachariah Branch had 1 for 21, and then Caleb Williams was just getting sacked like crazy. And so he had negative 11 rushing yards. I will tell you this before I get into that. Underdog Fantasy paid Ryan out last night on that bet that he sent this. Brenden Rice scored. Caleb Williams scored. And the receiver had the yardage that he needed to get, right?
Tahj Washington had plenty of what? Yeah.
Tahj Johnson
had plenty of yards.
Yep.
I got that on the first play, right?
Yeah.
So,
easy money.
Underdog Fantasy, if you want to get paid, go to underdogfantasy.com or any app, Google Play app or the Apple App Store, put in USC LAFB. It will match up to $100. You get to pick how many yards over under, and you'll be like, Ryan, you'll get paid. Now, he could buy his family Christmas gifts because he got it. And it's probably one of them was a bonus. 2 of them were bonuses, right?
Yeah, the Rice and Caleb touchdowns.
Yeah, they were both bonuses. So Christmas money already. You see, he already has a Christmas tree up. So he's an early Christmas guy. Forget the turkey in the diary house. We can just go straight to ornaments. No, but so Jamal, to address that comment, he abandoned the run again, right? So I was going to say before you said that, Lincoln Riley, we did show growth last night because Austin Jones fumbled and then he gave him the ball back and Austin Jones scored the touchdown, right? Before he's like, oh, fumble, we're just going to stop running. But he gets into this thing where he just abandons the run. I will take these carries consistently in this offense if we're gaining 4 yards, right? I'll take 4 yards. That means you're putting me at 2nd and 6. We're at 2nd and manageable, right? Austin Jones, 3 yards. All right, 3rd and 3. We have a go-to guy. We have a legit, it's not Reggie and Lindale, but we have a thunder and lightning type thing, but it seems like we just get out of it once we get our backs against the wall. And that's when it goes to, hey, we have to control the game. You know what I mean? And we lose our control the game feeling because we're like, oh, we got to fling the ball around. Here's a mistake Lincoln made last night. Lincoln doesn't know how to get the ball out quick. He always wanted to create these long development plays. And Kenny talked about this in the preview show. He's like, he creates these long developing plays and Caleb is looking for one guy and this and that. They disguise the coverage, right? So what you think is open is not open. And then also at times you need to get the ball out and see, getting the ball out for Caleb is throwing a screen. It's never any type of slant, any type of hitch, or anything like that. And so it gets weird because you're like, hey, bro, just catch and throw. Like, at least give the opportunity to catch and throw. Now, I'm going to play pro and con on this because the con is what the defense Oregon runs. You can have an end drop into the flat or into the slant lane or anything like that. But that we don't know because we never see it. We've rarely seen Caleb catch and throw. And we'll talk about this later in the year. That could affect his draft stock because does he have the ability to just catch the ball and fling it right now and make the right read if it's not there? You know what I'm saying? So that's one of the things that got it. But I still don't get abandoning the run. I just don't understand that part. You know what I mean? Like, it's like Caleb ran that one play really well. And a lot of people like, he ran faster than I've ever seen him run when they ran the throwback. I was like, God damn, Caleb could run better than we thought. Like, right? So he ran the throwback. And when he scrambles, he scrambled really well. Like, start running quarterback power. You're an air raid guy. QB power, QB draw. Like, use those things, but we just didn't see him use them. And it gets weird. I just don't understand. Yeah, go ahead. And we'll answer this question.
Just to play devil's advocate, because I if anyone watches our Rams show, like all I talk about is running the damn football. So I'm all about run, but I'm curious what Kenny thinks of this. So just to play devil's advocate, I feel like even when you look at the numbers, there was a lot of instances where they got like a nice 12-yard run or a 13-yard run, but the consistency was actually like tackles for loss. There was so many times where Lloyd and Jones got tackled for loss, and then when this offense was set up in 2nd and 12 or 3rd and 13. That's where Oregon just unleashed the pass rush and they just got behind the sticks. So not defending it, just playing devil's advocate. I don't know if you guys saw that. Did you see that at all, Kenny? Because I just feel like that was more consistent than 5 yards a run.
Yeah, there was more no gains and tackles for loss and put you guys behind the sticks a lot early. And then also the sacks that Caleb had to take or him scrambling around and having to throw the ball out of bounds, put it in 3rd and long and 2nd and long. So I think that's why they stopped running the ball. But like you said, Marshawn Lloyd is good, but like I told you, he really wasn't impacting the game. He just had a couple of plays where he made a few runs. But other than that, like Bucky, he impacted the game. But Marshawn Lloyd, he's pretty good, but he had 3 yards, and then he'll lose 3 yards. He got that 12-yard run, and then after that, it was probably 3 or 4 runs where he didn't really do anything.
Yeah, but Bucky also had 10 more carries than Marshawn Lloyd. You get what I'm saying? Like, Marshawn Lloyd didn't get an opportunity to impact the game. Bucky had 19. Marshawn Lloyd had 9. Bucky had 118.
And Bucky was playing against a high school defense. So
yeah.
Well, Ryan, it's an interesting point about running the ball. This is where I thought it would be a Zachariah Branch kind of game, where I think there was opportunities to do some more jet sweep stuff. There was some stuff, they did a nice job with kind of some of the shovel passes and misdirection. I think that's where you manufacture the running game, and then when you sort of stretch them a little bit vertically, you strain them vertically, then you sort of go up the middle with Lloyd and Jones. So I think there was some opportunities there. I just don't think there was enough kind of conviction and commitment to it, because if you're committed to running the football and kind of staying balanced, you're going to find ways to be able to do it. And I do think I agree that there was a lot of lost yardage and no gain with just Lloyd and Jones. But I think there was really an opportunity with Branch to sort of open some things up there.
Yeah, but I just think 10 more carries. I would like to see what he would have done, right? If you give Marshawn Lloyd and Austin Jones 5 more carries each, I think there would have been some impact to the game. Some, right? And then you can add Zachariah Branch. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think the run game is established well enough to create an impact on the game, if that makes sense, right? So, like, Kenny's right. There's no impact on the game because they know, they hit their run quota for the day. They're at 11 runs. Like, it's done. You know what I mean? Like, and so I think the impact, I don't think they give it enough time. Here's a good example. Utah, the run game was impacting the game, and then it just stopped. Like, it doesn't give it an opportunity to impact the game. So I think that's more of a coaching thing other than a skill thing, because I think Marshawn Lloyd is good, and I think Marshawn Lloyd should get 19, 20 carries, but he doesn't right? And that, to me, as a running back, I'm like, man, I'm getting in the portal. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sick of this. Like, you don't let me go. Let me do what I do. At least set them up in the screen game. Like, let me get loose, baby. Like, you're keeping me in. Let's address this question. Having to burn those timeouts in the third and fourth came to bite us in the end. Why is that the defense and offense can't be on the same page and get set? So I'll address the defense and I'll let you address the offense, Jamal, because you've talked about the timeouts earlier. So defensively, the defensive scheme is still too complicated. They didn't change the defense. They're just calling it right at the right time, it looks like. The calling was better, but the scheme has not changed. The defense is way too complicated. So there's a check to a check to a check, and they're over checking, and so then they're not lined up. They're trying to rotate like offensive guys, and they're unable to do it, which causes them to call timeouts. Defense is the thing that you have to keep simple and keep sound, and you put your players in the best ability possible. Defensive calls, honestly, the defensive playbook is way smaller, and I'll say about 100 pages compared to an offensive playbook. You know, just an example, right? An offensive playbook is probably about this big, and the defensive playbook should be about like that. You know what I mean? Like and most of it is stunt and adjustments. The base at SC, I can tell you our base at SC. We were in Frisco, we were in LA, we were in Tokyo, we were in LA Saint, and then we ran Seattle. That was our base defense. Now, what we did off of that, we had some blitz, we had some stunts, and then we made some adjustments to LA, Frisco, Saint, Tokyo. But LA and Tokyo was man. It's just who we was rolling down. The strong safety or the free safety. Frisco was cover 3, LA was cover 2, Seattle was cover 4. That's all we did. You know what I mean? Like, and we were in the best position possible. Now we ran LA Saint was like some cloud stuff, and then we ran some Frisco cloud and things like that. But we ran based off, we ran everything off of our base. We were simple, and those guys were able to play fast. Jamal, you want to address the offensive thing because you addressed it earlier about the disguise and it kind
of I mean, Fred, I think the offense is really your point. I think it's the fact that offensively, you know, again, with the air raid, you got to be able to read numbers at the line. And I think they were just kind of confused where the pressure was coming and where there was opportunities on the field. And that created a lot of, you know, audibles with Caleb at the line that created more conversation with Lincoln. And you know, the play clock went down. I will say it was interesting. Late third quarter, 29-14. If you recall, it was kind of 4th and 3. And Lincoln wanted to go for it at USC's own 30-yard line, just given where the game was. He actually turned to Cliff Kingsbury and said, should I go for it? And Kingsbury said no, but he went for it anyway and was lucky that he got to delay a game there and went 4th and 8, and then they had to ultimately punt it. So it was, I think, a combination of schematics, but it was also not kind of trusting your conversations either. So, you know, but that's credit to Oregon, their scheme, their crowd. All the things that Ryan said earlier, their intensity, all had to do with burning those timeouts.
I could get the comments going right now. Is Caleb Williams going to play in the bowl game? Answer that question. I want to see you guys answer that question in the comments. Is Caleb Williams going to play in the bowl game?
I got the announcers kept saying it like he was about to quit. When Oregon was up by like 15 points, the announcers kept saying, "Oh, look at Caleb Williams. He's still playing hard. Was he just supposed to quit, or why did they keep saying that?"
That's why I tell you I listen to the game mostly on mute, right? Like they Caleb Williams, he plays hard.
To be a homer. Those announcers were a little rough.
Yeah, they kept saying, "Oh, look at Caleb. He's still playing hard." When he threw a touchdown to Brenden Rice.
Kenny, I agree with you. I don't see a world where he plays the bowl game. I just can't see it. It just, in terms of how much money is at stake, what the situation is. I think he'll play the UCLA game. I could even see Lincoln pull him in like the third quarter for a big ovation, you know, as a way of kind of, because there's no senior day, right? Like he doesn't get to run out the tunnel for the last time on senior day. So I could even see a world where Lincoln kind of pulls him midway through the UCLA game just for you know, fans to be able to appreciate. But I can't possibly see Caleb Williams risking a number 1 pick, tens of millions of dollars in guaranteed money, all of this money in terms of endorsements to go play the LA Bowl, to go play the Gronk Bowl, or to go play some mid-tier bowls. So I think for fans, you know, this week is it. This is it. This is going to be the last game Caleb Williams plays in a USC uniform. So let's enjoy it,
point.
and let's give him appreciation because the run's coming to a close here in 6 days.
You see that there? If they play Oklahoma,
If
Caleb
they play
will
Oklahoma, I can see it.
But unfortunately, it's not. I mean, it's tough. But they were sort of in line for the Alamo Bowl if they were able to kind of finish in a decent spot here. I mean, SC sitting at 5th in the Pac-12 right now. I think Alamo Bowl is going to be tough.
SC sitting at 5th in the Pac-12, and they're 5-3 in conference. That's insane. That's the crazy. Thanks, Larry Scott. I appreciate you for everything you've done for the Pacific 12 Conference. You're amazing. You are the greatest man in the history of college football, Larry Scott. I just 100% appreciate you. You are amazing. Like 5-3 is great. Let's see. What's this one say? I wouldn't want to risk the humiliation of losing to Oklahoma.
Oklahoma's defense is kind of bad.
Yeah,
too.
Oklahoma's not that good. They got sort of lit up against Oak State and then Kansas and all of that. So I actually think it would be such a compelling game. It would be a shootout. It would be so fun to see OU and USC play that game. I'll tell you though, I don't worry about Caleb. If OU wins that game, Lincoln's going to have a hard time getting dinner reservations in LA. Let me just tell you that right now. Okay, if he doesn't win that game.
Hey, if I will say this, if we do get an Oklahoma USC matchup, all of our Sooner fans are coming back.
Yeah.
We'll get all. We love our Sooner fans. I just want to let you guys know that. I know the SC fans like, why do you got? Because man, our Sooner fans are actually. We learned about Tebow.
Let me ask you this, Al and Jamal, or Kenny too. In my opinion, at this point, as much as I love watching Caleb play and I want to watch him more, but I feel like it would be better for the program to not have him play and just see what you kind of have going into the offseason. Is there any validity to that, or is that like it doesn't matter? It's one game.
I think you can, but like Jamal said, there's no senior day, so you put him out there and maybe for a half, and then let the fans.
I don't mean against UCLA. I mean the bowl game. I don't mean he's definitely playing next week. I mean for the bowl game.
He's not playing the bowl game.
Go ahead, Jamal.
Right, you're saying don't play him. You're saying play him or don't play him for the bowl game.
So if he doesn't play the bowl game, and you get to see a full game of either Miller Moss or Malachi Nelson, that's almost better for the program because like, okay, we get a nice game instance, a bowl game instance of seeing our potential starting quarterback.
Oh yeah, I totally agree. That's why I would also do it. Now with Malachi, it's a little bit more complicated because you got to see if he's under the 4-game quota of you don't want to burn the red shirt. So he is. Yeah. So that's a free game. I mean, the way they did with Raleek, right? And you go out there, you kind of ask the guys who are thinking about going to the NFL draft and basically the Bullocks of the world and the Solomon Byrds of the world, and you play them a few snaps, but then you put them out, and then you just see what you have in a big game environment, big crowd environment, national TV against, a credible opponent. And that's a better measuring stick of what you have than anything you can do in spring practice or fall ball or anything like that. So I completely agree, Ryan. I think it helps both sides. It's a win-win. You don't risk any injury. I mean, the fear, of course, is Willis McGahee, right? Like every agent, the first thing he's going to say, Caleb's agent, Caleb's dad, Caleb's inner circle is going to be Willis McGahee. When on the last possible game of the season, in the fourth quarter of the last possible game of his college career, he blows out his knee in such a tragic fashion. Fortunately for Willis, he made it back to the NFL, but wasn't quite the same. So you don't want to risk that situation in any way, shape, or form for Caleb. And then on the flip side, you want to see what you have going into next year. So it's a win-win to me. I couldn't agree more with you, Ryan.
I would love to see Miller Moss because I would love to see how the offense changes. The offense isn't going to be the same offense with Caleb Williams. And to Lincoln Riley's credit, he knows how to manufacture his offense to put his quarterbacks in the best situation possible. And we've seen that multiple times. He has 4 Heisman Trophy winners now. The offense he ran with Jalen Hurts is not the same offense he ran with Baker Mayfield. The offense he ran with Baker is not the same as Kyler. The offense he ran with Kyler is not the same as Caleb. So I'd love to see what he will do with Miller Moss. Now, I will say this. The only bad part is I don't want to put that on film. So what I would do is play Malachi Nelson more than I will play Miller Moss. So I will play Miller Moss for about a quarter and a half, and then let Malachi take the game away because I don't want to put that offense on the field. I don't want to put that offense on film yet. So even the offense I would run in the bowl game, and this is just me being a coach and being kind of like paranoid about things, and coaches are a lot really paranoid about things. Let me tell you, when we went on the road, we went, and when all the players were on the bus, we went back and checked the whole hotel lobby and everything, make sure there was no playbooks left behind. Like, there's a lot of paranoia that happens with coaching. And so,
well, and coach, there's no preseason next year. You get LSU week 1. So
that's what,
right out the gate.
I get what you're saying, but you also have a spring ball and you also have camp, but I don't want to put that on film. You know,
I'm agreeing with you. I'm saying like they're got to go right up against it, so they don't want to give LSU any extra ammo. Yeah.
So I'll be really basic. It'll be our base package with Miller Mossy, and like this is what we run with Miller in practice. Like, you know what I mean? This is day 1 install. Like, and then Malachi Nelson, here, throw you in the fire. We're going to get you ready. Like, you're going to be ready by the time Miller's out of here. If this is your team, we're going to have you ready. So that's just what I would do. So
right. Quick one for you. Can you imagine if you saw that LSU game last night? Can you imagine Daniels against this USC defense? I mean, Daniels had 600 yards of total offense last night. He went for 375 through the air and 235 on the ground. He had 606 yards of offense. If he's not going to come back, but can you imagine if he came back opening day against some semblance of this defense? I mean, over under. I mean, does he get 1,000 yards in that game? I mean, my God, it would remind me of sort of the Baker Mahomes game in the Big 12, that Texas Tech OU game from many years ago. My goodness.
Yeah. All right.
His only opponent would be the clock. That would be his only his only resistance is that clock up top.
So I do want to go back a little bit, and I want to stir the pot up. And Kenny, you can even jump in on this. What happened to Max Williams? You know, Max Williams was pretty good last year. I was impressed. Calen, you guys know, Calen Bullock and Max Williams were one of my favorites coming back on the defense. They were pretty good safeties, and they kind of just they are legit a bear stock right now. You know what I mean? Like they're not even the candle's not even coming up on them at all. Like they are a bear stock right now. I'm just, and where is Calen Bullock as far as class? Is he a junior or is he a senior? Is he done eligibility wise?
Junior.
I mean, he's a junior. He's not done eligibility wise, but I have a hard time believing he's not going to go pro.
Yeah, he should come back because the Calen Bullock that we saw last year and the Calen Bullock that we saw this year is legit second round. This year he's a 5th round guy. You know what I mean? He cost himself a lot of money this year. And just Max Williams, like what happened with Max Williams? Like, I don't understand how you just fall that fast. You know, those guys had both had like 5 picks last year. They had just a bunch of tackles. Like, what happened? Do you guys have an opinion on what happened?
If I just blindly throwing darts, 2 opinions. One is, and we talk all the time, I just think overthinking. And when you overthink, you don't play to your full ability. And I think there's just so much going on and there's so much criticism and scrutiny that they're just overthinking. 2, and Jamal, you've said this a bunch, I think the schedule plays into it. Last year, they just didn't have a very tough offensive schedule. When you look at who the defensive played, I mean, this is a team that won 11 games and surprised the world, and not taken away from that, but it was just a much easier schedule. This year, it was a brutal schedule at the end of the year. There was good offenses. I mean, even the bad teams they played still better offenses. You got Colorado that had a pretty good quarterback and Shooter Sanders and a better offense. You go through this gauntlet of all these teams in a row that have Heisman level quarterbacks that they didn't have to play last year. So I think it was just this defense may have looked a little better because they just went up against much worse offenses last year.
Yeah, Ryan. I mean, and Ryan, it's so funny, Fred asking the question. I mean, I remember you and I, talked over the summer, if you recall, kind of preview show of who was going to sort of blow up. And I had mentioned, I think Calen Bullock might take a step back this year, just because I think also the hype, he was sort of preseason All-American on every sort of website, on every sort of analysis. There was kind of a lot of pressure there. And I think you could tell he's sort of playing under a lot of pressure. And I think everything else that Ryan mentioned as well. This schedule didn't do USC any favors, where the front six was so easy, it was so front loaded, and then the back six was so difficult. Definitely the Pac-12 did not do USC any favors in their last year in the conference, because I've never seen imbalance in terms of strength, schedule strength like this in over 20 years of USC football. This was a steep climb.
That's what happens when you bail on the conference. You get a tough schedule.
Y'all bailed on the conference
you guys
too.
Bailed on the conference now too.
You forced us to.
Just a follower.
It was
like
funny
a follower.
Though. It was funny. It was funny though, because I will tell you guys this. So when it first happened, they were talking Washington and Oregon was going to leave. We knew Washington was going to go to Big Ten, and I sent Kenny a text. I said Oregon has to make a big decision, and Oregon guys, they like to be a big fish in a small pond. So are you guys going to go to the Big 12 or the Big 10? And he was like, it doesn't matter. We're going to win wherever we go. You know what I mean? But I will say this. Kenny, you got an opinion on the Max and Calen Bullock thing, or?
I didn't really see him play that last year, but yesterday, just that one play where they were both spinning in circles, that was terrible.
Yeah.
That's just fundamentals. That's just like, what are you doing here?
All right, so then the next question I have for you guys, I have two more questions for you guys, and then we can wrap it up, because I know Jamal has to get to brunch.
You always throw in a Jamal brunch thing or something. I love it.
Because
I love Fred
Jamal is
and
a
my
brunch
relationship. I love Fred and my Fred never change. I love our relationship. You are the man. There's nothing you could tell me that I wouldn't be thrilled about. I love our relationship.
So I forgot my question now, because I said Jamal had to go to brunch. I remember. So here's a good question, and I think this one will fire the comments up. We're bringing in a new defensive coordinator, right? And Kenny, I would love to get your opinion on this one too. We're bringing in a new defensive coordinator. Do you keep the defensive staff, or do you blow the whole thing up? Anybody? You can start, Kenny, and then we'll go.
Yeah.
Well, Kenny, you go, and then we'll go Ryan and then Jamal.
It'll be quick. If the defensive coordinator comes in, he brings who he wants to bring. And also, Baylor got blown out yesterday. That head coach isn't looking good, but he's a pretty good defensive coordinator.
Aranda.
Yeah, Aranda.
Yeah, 56 points, so that doesn't look good, but but he's the head coach, so it's a little different.
Yeah.
No, I basically, just to piggyback off Kenny, like I leave it up to my DC. You got to empower your DC to build his staff. If he comes in and says, hey, I want to keep Dante for his recruiting prowess, but I'm going to also have another secondary guy that really controls the cornerbacks. I mean, you got to, I think, depending on who you bring in, you let him make that decision and have full control over his staff and that side of the ball.
Yep,
Jamal?
Agreed. And I think 9 times out of 10, that basically means the whole staff's going to get blown up.
Yeah, I don't think the staff is going to get blown up. I'm just being honest with you guys. From just past experiences and this is just my opinion. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but from past experiences, kind of see how Lincoln Riley moves and the way he functions, I don't think that he is going to let the defensive coordinator have control over the staff. I think he's going to try his hardest to keep not Jamal. I'm going to try my hardest to keep Jamal.
Better.
I think he's going to keep Dante because of the recruiting, because I think he's starting to feel the pressure of not recruiting Southern California. So I think that's one of the things, like the Southern California pressures on him. All of a sudden, they fire Alex Grinch and we get 3 top Southern California commits, right? It's 2026, but now we're getting these Southern California interests, right? So
let me ask you this question here. I mean, what is the sense of Dante? Because obviously there's all of this sort of recruiting prowess in Southern California. At the same time, and we've been kind of talking about this for a few weeks. Yeah, he's an SC guy, but he's also not an SC guy. I mean, Kenny, he was at Oregon for a little bit. He's sort of been around, very high profile recruiter. SC next year, 0 for 5 on Mater Dei, 1 for 7 on Bosco. So what's really sort of going on here? It feels like he doesn't quite have, his arms around this Southern California pipeline the way, we once thought, the way, he was in the past. I don't know if going to the Big Ten has something to do with that, because now the aperture is just so much wider, and those links aren't maybe as strong because he has more to focus on regionally or what. But it just feels like Dante's also kind of losing a little bit of juice in terms of kind of this local play. I mean, is this a little overplayed about Dante?
Yeah. First, Kenny, do you remember Dante? He played at Baldwin. He was a little bit older than us.
No, I don't remember.
So I was told this early in my career. You could go recruit the world, right? You could recruit the world and you could bring everybody in here. But if they don't turn out to anything as far as development, your job is pointless. You know what I mean? All I got to do is get them to commit. And this is how cold the business is. I could go recruit the top recruiting class, get them to sign, and I could get fired as soon as signing day is over. Right? I got all the guys in. That you did what you needed for. Now, there's a possibility to keep Dante, but keep him off the field. Right? You make him your recruiting guy, your key recruiting guy, and then you let him do that, what he's good at. As far as coaching, he's not developing guys. You know what I mean? Now he could throw his hands up and be like, I'm just coaching the way I was told to coach. But that's not the way to do it. You got to be able to walk into your DC's office and be like, look, man, this is not working. Right? You got to be able to hold each other accountable. And I don't think there is any accountability being held. So to answer your question, Jamal, he shows no value as far as football. As far as recruiting, I think he needs to become the recruiting coordinator in the recruiting department and keep him there. And then you hire a defensive back coach that's developing guys. He's not developing guys. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I mean, that's where it is. Like, you have to be able to start demoting people.
Right.
And that's a part of becoming a head coach. That's what being a boss is. Like, a good leader puts people in the best situation possible, regardless of feelings.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And everything that you've been talking about, Fred, there's sort of that common denominator here of Dante really not being a particularly good coach. When we've talked about Calen Bullock's regression this year. We've talked about Max Williams' regression this year. Domani Jackson, Kenny was talking about, guys spinning last night. I mean, Domani Jackson looked like he was taking fourth-year calculus as a 10th grader last night. I mean, there was a feeling of overwhelmed last night. So, there really is an opportunity to kind of develop that back end pretty significantly. And I wonder if Dante, to your point, really is coaching material.
Yeah, so I would love to see Domani Jackson in a cover 3 system. I think he could be a really good cover 3 corner. Just stay on top and just read the intentions of the quarterback. I think he could become a Richard Sherman type guy, a big body, aggressive, you know what I mean, in a cover 3 scheme. That's just what I would like to see. I don't know if that happens. All right. So, Ryan, you got anything on it? You guys all answered it? I'm sorry. So here's my next question. Here's my next question. The big class is 2026. It seems like, and we've talked about this and we talked about this a lot yesterday, and I thought today was a perfect day to talk about it. That's why Jamal's smiling. The big class is in 2026. So it looks like we put in 2024 and 2025 on the back burner and just keeping it warm. And we're putting all of our stock into 2026. Do you think that's a good idea? Because me personally, and I'll go first, I think that's a bad idea because we're putting all our stock in 2026. Let's just say we sign 25 players and 10 of them end up being good, right? Then where do we go from there? And we're back in the same situation. Do you guys think that's a good idea just to put all of our stock in the 26 class? Or do you think that we need to push forward and try to up our class for 2024? Even if our 2025 class is middle of the road, at least we know we have a good 2026 class, a good 2024 class, and we could kind of hide the 2025 guys. And some of them might pop and work, but we have 3 years of a foundation of freshmen that can understand the culture of the system. What do you guys think? I'm going to start that with Ryan.
Well, I mean, that better not be the the whole plan. It's definitely not smart to plan on that. I want to see I want to see how this class plays out. They're ranked 17th right now, 16 total commits at the moment. They just flipped that tackle, Huntington Beach kid, local kid from Stanford back, which I think was a good flip. There's what, 35 days or so until letter of intent day on December 20th. And then you have national signing day in February. So, there's still time. I want to see how this class plays out. If they go into it and this is what it is, then we can really raise questions and what the thought process is. But a lot of this stuff is going to change over the next 30 days, especially with only one game left for SC on their regular season schedule. So I anticipate that there'll be some big recruits still in this 24 class. But we'll see. But to your question, that better not be the plan, that you're planning for sophomores staying committed to this program. That it's nice. It looks cool on paper, but it really means nothing. They're still sophomores. They got to develop. You don't know what's going to happen. So it's about this 24 class right now. And it's ranked 17th right now. We'll see if they get in the top 10 over the next 35 days.
But doesn't that seem like the direction that they're going? Am I wrong? Joel, go ahead. You seem to steer me straight sometimes with your analytical mind. So
no, I think, Coach, I think they've just had more success right now with 26 with Julian Lewis, and he just seems really passionate about USC and Lincoln Riley's system. And so now he's kind of serving as like the LeBron of the 2026 class, or he's going to go and recruit other guys too. So I think there's just enthusiasm about the 2026 class right now that is more than maybe some of the other classes. And I think that's where we're sort of getting a lot of the attention. I completely agree with Ryan. The focus has to be on 24 here. 17th is not going to be good enough to be able to move the needle with this team when you consider Caleb Williams, Solomon Byrd, Marshawn Lloyd, Tahj Washington, Brenden Rice, Calen Bullock, etc., all leaving this program. And so a 17th ranked recruiting class is not going to be close to being able to fill that gap. You probably need to be at 5 or 6 or 7. So I think it's going to be really fascinating to see how much ground they can make up in these next 35 days. And jobs A, B, and C right now is you gotta figure out who your defensive coordinator is, because nobody is going to commit to you without clarity on that side of the ball for sure. So I think this is going to be a really pivotal next 35 days. And I think, Ryan, it also speaks to why I think they just got to kind of get through this game on Saturday, and then their focus needs to go elsewhere immediately.
Kenny, what do you think?
Yep.
If you wait
just in the recruiting aspect, the recruiting aspect of it.
If you're waiting for 2026, Lincoln Riley won't be here, because 2026 recruits won't be good until 28. So that's a long time away. And then Logan Dow made a good point. He said the 26 recruits get to use the $400 million facilities. So you guys are trying to be like Oregon now, huh?
No, we're trying to catch up.
No, but if you have to wait for those recruits, you guys all want to be calling for Lincoln Riley's head by then.
Yeah, he'll be like our boy John James. Our boy John James is unemployed today. So, what was that, $76 million buyout, Jamal?
Yeah. Oh, you're talking about Jimbo? Yeah.
That's his real name. His real name is John James.
Yeah. No,
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, no, that was very well done, Fred. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. $95 million contract extension that he signed in 21. Didn't even get 2 years in. $76 million is what's left on that contract, and it was guaranteed. So guess what? Texas A&M is paying $76 million to Jimbo Fisher not to coach their football team.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you think you guys will hit the transfer portal for DBs, defensive linemen?
Yeah, we will. We need to hit the transfer portal for offensive linemen. You know what I mean? Like, we got to hit. Yeah, we got to. The front seven on both sides of the ball have to get better. I think you move Bear to the 3 and you go get a legit 1 technique, and then you keep it. We've got Jamil Muhammad for another year, right?
He's a senior. It depends.
No,
if he takes his COVID year, right? So look, just hear me out. You go get a solid nose guard, a true nose guard, a big body that demands a double team. You put Bear at 3, an explosive guy, right, that could get off the ball. You get Jamil Muhammad back, say he takes his COVID year. You go get another rush in. Now you go build depth because depth is an issue at SC. Go get guys that are better than the rest, but not good enough to start. You know what I mean? That way, you can start rotating defense alignment, and the depth is a key in anything. Like, a lot of people don't understand it, but depth is really big in basketball and football. Like, in football, you need guys because you get hurt. So, you go get depth in the portal. I'm good with that. I would say
Makai Lemon was playing DB last night. Shows you how banged up SC's defense was.
Yeah, and that's another thing
receiver
too.
Playing DB.
We need to go get a new strength coach. Our strength coach is not performing very well. There's no way for SC to be that slow. No way for SC to be that slow. But that'll be our wrap up of the year show. But yeah, you can live in the. They don't need to live in the portal, but they need to go fix their offensive line with the portal right now. Receiver wise, I think they're good. Running back wise, I think they're fine. They got 2 young running backs that could, you know what I mean? They don't have to go get a starting running back. You got 2 young guys that are really good. Like,
what year is Brenden Rice?
Brenden Rice is a senior. He's done.
Oh, he's done. Okay.
Yeah, but you have number 21 is who? Ryan, who's number 21?
Joyner.
24. The 21 is Joyner, yeah, the running back.
And then you have number 20, 22 or 24.
24 is Lemon, freshman receiver.
No. The other running back. That's a freshman.
Yeah, trying to play. He hasn't played it all this year, but I know who you're talking about. He looked good in the spring game.
Yeah, so you have 2 running backs, right? You have 2 quarterbacks. You have
22 is Barlow, who you're probably thinking. Barlow's a junior, redshirt junior.
That's fine. He's coming back. You know what I mean? That's fine. You have Joyner and you have Barlow. That's fine. You're good at running back. No more running backs. Your tight end room is full. Your receiver room is full. Do not bring any more. Lincoln Riley, if you bring in any more receivers, I will go find the biggest booster and we will buy you out and you are done. You're done. You don't need any more receivers. Go get.
I promise you, he will probably bring in more receivers.
Yeah, with that type of offense, you gotta have more receivers.
They already have a bunch of. Oh, Barlow's a redshirt senior, so Barlow's done. So go get one running back. Go get one.
Talking about Amari Peterson?
No. It was Barlow and Joyner. It was Barlow and Joyner.
But yes, Kenny, Amari Peterson's the other freshman back. Thank you.
Yeah.
But if you go get, just hear me out. You go get juniors for the D line and the O line. At least you can establish culture, and they're not rental players. We have that. I think that's the biggest issue, and Jamal talks about this all the time. And Candace this is her biggest thing. SC gets a lot of rental players, so you can't create anything. You can't create anything as far as culture and as far as building the team. That's why, like, the biggest example is Gentry. But Gentry got hurt; he couldn't play a full season. But Gentry is a transfer, but he understands SC culture now. Like, he wants to win, right? So you have to create that. So I think you go get younger guys that you could keep more than a year, other than guys that you only have for 6 months. You know what I mean? And that makes it better. Deuce is going to be good, and Zachariah is going to be good also. So, Kenny, Deuce is number 19, the one that you said needed to do some curls.
Yeah, he needed to do some curls.
Yeah.
Well, the question for Deuce is going to be if he goes baseball full time, because that's still a conversation right now. So that'll be really fascinating to see how it plays out in the spring.
How tall is he? Like 6'5"?
He's 6'5", but he's kind of a 6'5", 6". I mean, think Aaron Judge in baseball, and baseball is actually his better sport. So it's going to depend on what his, I think, spring season will be with USC baseball before he decides. Because I think he's still on the fence right now. So that's a big one.
Hey, Deuce,
he can hit like Aaron Judge.
Yeah, that's kind of his game. Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, Deuce. Deuce, as much as we love you on the football field, yeah, you need to go over to Duduck Field. Like, you're wasting time, bro. Go get paid, bro.
I'm building a brand new baseball facility.
Yeah, like, I'm gonna put you in the best situation
when you're
possible.
A non-quarterback, when you're a non-quarterback, and there's a decision between you have the opportunity to go pro baseball, pro football, feels like pro baseball is the smarter choice.
He's a tight end, right?
No, that's tight end. Who, Deuce?
Tight end, but he's receiver in the depth chart, but he plays kind of more inside.
A lot of contact he's taking.
Yeah, no, well, he doesn't. He's not in line. He's more of a. He's like a Dallas Clark. So, Deuce, go get paid, bro. Go get on the baseball field. Go turn your stuff in. Go walk through Howard Jones. Walk down that door and go play baseball, Deuce. Don't even waste your time. Jacoby Lane has a great future. He does. I agree with Jacoby Lane. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. All right, kickoff's about to start. I don't want to hold you guys up. I appreciate you, Kenny. Thanks for joining us. Thank
you, Kenny.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Congrats,
Kenny. Absolutely, thank you, and congratulations on the victory. And I think that Oregon's the best team in the Pac-12. I think you guys will beat Washington in the Pac-12 title game and make the playoffs. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
Well, we know how it's going to go, Jamal. The big game is coming, and they got Bo Nix. So
there it is. It's still 0 national championships, though, Kenny. It's still 0. Okay.
So hey, go ahead, Kenny.
No, you on Thursday you said who's gonna have the big game. I guess you forgot about Bo Nix, 400 yards passing.
Colin Slee would have had 250 yards passing last night against that defense. So,
and we may see that in 6 days. Who knows? So
is Bo Nix a first rounder? Absolutely not.
But he will go in the first round just because of how the NFL drafts quarterbacks.
That is
Zach
ridiculous.
Wilson went in the first round. He's better than Zach Wilson.
Exactly.
Man, I don't understand.
He just better not go 6 to the Rams, but that's a different conversation.
We'll talk about.
That's what they got him going to.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Hey, I appreciate you guys. We just gotta keep moving. We got the Bruins battle for Victory Bell. Big
Fun week.
announcement.
Victory Bell week. It's
We'll
the
be
Victory
live.
Bell show.
We'll be live.
Fun
We'll be
week.
live for the Victory Bell show. I don't know if Ryan's going, but Jamal, I'll be there. Just
Love
what
it.
day we're doing it, Ryan?
I was gonna message everyone, including Will, to see what works for everyone, so we can schedule it.
Okay.
Where do you guys play at this year? SC or UCLA?
It's
We
at
play
the Coliseum.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yep. Hey, so here real quick, Quinny. Real quick, Kenny. Jamal, who's going to win the Pac-12 North? You said it earlier. You have to let them know. Tell me who you said. You have to let them know who you said.
Pac-12 North.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's all one now.
I saw
There's
one,
the
but
Pac-12.
who would you say was going to be in the Pac-12 championship?
Oh, Oregon State. I mean, it's that, and look, everyone's got Oregon, Washington sort of penciled in here. Oregon State's got to play them both these next 2 weeks. Oregon State kind of controls their own destiny here. If they show out
UW next week.
I think they will beat UW next week, Kenny. I totally agree with you. I mean, in Corvallis, I think Oregon State's going to upset Washington, and then really it gets interesting.
And
It's
then
a travesty. College game day is not there. Like James
it
Madison,
is. It's going there.
It is.
No,
they're going there.
No,
Oh,
it's going to James
they're going
Madison.
next week, I thought they were going to Corvallis.
No, everyone was up in arms. It's like, how are you not going to Corvallis for this game? They're going to James Madison.
Oh wow.
I'm sure Fox Big Noon will be there. I assume.
Okay. Well, anyway, Oregon State, if they beat UW, they're gonna be they're gonna have a hangover, and we're gonna beat them by 50.
Hey, that's what happens. That's what happens when you're taught to hope as a football team and not know. You're hoping for a hangover. So definitely.
I mean, you guys been hoping since 06, so it's okay.
Oh,
and you
Kenny,
guys,
it was a pleasure having you on the show. We'll see you next year.
No, so I appreciate you guys. Just to let y'all know, I have to deal with this. I have to deal with this in 2 more weeks when he's over my house for Thanksgiving. So it is what it is. But I appreciate you, Ryan, Jamal, as always. Oh, we were talking about Victory Bell. We're going to be live with each other. Jamal, I'll be there for sure. I don't know what Ryan and Will the Thrill's going to do, but I'll be there. Let me know. I'll even bring my own microphone.
Love it.
It's always
You have to. So that's part of the deal.
I have one, Fred. Okay,
yeah.
So
I got you. I'll be there. But Victory Bell show, we'll get it. We'll let you guys know in that post. I appreciate you guys, fans. I appreciate you guys always. It's only up from here. Let's think of it like that. Let's be positive. It's only up from here. We still have a winning record. We're not like Colorado, a bunch of hype and just faltered, right? So it's only up from here. Let's just get better, right? Let's get better, guys. We can get better. It's been the Bet Online Salute Detroit podcast. Thank you guys for joining. Live free.